Welcome back to yet another contest entry. This is one for the Greek Legion of Doom, a very successful and talented, seems like a very nice guy, YouTuber. He asked that we do a video review and then post it of a film that we've had not reviewed previously. And so I picked The Killing of America, which is a 1981 shock-you drama. It's produced by this is a Severin release, by the way, but it's produced by a Japanese film producer, and it was directed by Stephen Lennon. Stephen Renon. It is a very thought-provoking documentary. There's two cuts of the film. There's I guess the American version, which is 95 minutes, and then the original Japanese uncensored version, which is 115 minutes. Along with it is an audio commentary by the director, and then a slew of special features, including interviews with the director, 20 minutes, the editor, and then kind of a historical overview of like 15 minutes on these Mondo Kane type movies, the movies along this shocky drama subgenre. The movie has two selling points. Essentially what it's doing is saying, every 3 minutes there's a murder in the United States. And, pretty much that the freedoms that we have as Americans is part of the problem, i.e. gun control. That's kind of its simplistic message, and it works on a lot of levels because it's focusing on a series of events throughout history that were highly documented on video, and those things capture these killings that have happened. Capture your imagination and really get you fired up about it, and so it works. It works at a very emotional level, but I think that, and I enjoyed it. I highly recommend, if you don't have this Severin release, to pick it up. However, I would encourage people that have seen this film to think about this a little bit broader. And what I'm going to talk about now is a kind of a macro thought process. When you see this movie, it really does make you think, and it thinks about gun control and how we try to, as a society, to through politics, socially control outcomes, and we pretty much fail at that effort. I think a lot of our politics are agenda driven, that touch the surface of core issues, but they don't really address them. But they're very popular. But gun control is one of those examples that I think misses the point in terms of what's actually the core issues driving people to kill. So I want to present something a little bit different. It may be a little deep. If it is, cut the video off. But I want to present something a little bit beyond just the surface of we have a killing every 3 minutes in America. Joseph Stalin was famous for saying that an individual death is a real tragedy, but 1 million deaths is a statistic. And of course, Joseph Stalin was a mass murderer along with Hitler. And his point is very important one, I think, because we as a society tend to focus on those individual deaths that have high visibility in our homes and our TV screens, and we overlook genocide, mass murder. It goes unspoken, and for the most part, it goes without really any kind of political attempts to deal with it. It's just not socially or politically very, very interesting to us. But if you see a terrorist behead an American, you're going to get that's going to hit every TV screen across the world. But if you're talking about genocide in Africa, or you're talking about the genocide in Syria, that's so many people that we just tend to not even focus on it. One of the things I wanted to show you to illustrate my point is a graph. So let me show you this graph. All right, so in an attempt to really address my thought process on this, what are the macro reasons behind murder? So I did a couple things. One is I took the highest per capita murder rates. I think this is 2017 data. What are the top 25 countries with the highest per capita murder rates? And then I compared it to the top 25's highest per capita GDP. So what countries have the highest economic prosperity and the highest murder rates? Well, United States isn't on the list. We might like, it may be interesting and fun to say, hey, there's a murder every 3 minutes, but the reality is we don't even make the list. The number one, as you look at this list, essentially what you have is Latin American countries and third world countries in Africa and in the Bahamas and Dominican Republic, places like that. And you notice it's not, if it's not obvious, that many of these countries are countries that are politically corrupt and have a huge drug problem. Drug trafficking is one of all these countries: Venezuela, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. I mean, drugs. The drug trade, combined with your general level of economics, is I think the root cause of why we're having high murder rates here. Now contrast that with the highest per capita GDP, and you'll see that many of these countries, Southeast Asia, Europe, Iceland, places like Iceland, Ireland, Norway, Switzerland, the United States, Netherlands, those countries have the highest GDP, but they do not make the top 25 highest per capita murder rates. So from my standpoint, it might be politically expedient to grab a news heading of an individual murder and try to parlay that into gun control. And it feels good, it meets our political agenda, but it really doesn't touch the core issue. What I think, just summing this up, is I believe that William F. Buckley, the conservative commentary, great intellectual, suggested that we legalize all drugs and the drug trade, and you would probably see, if we did that, if we made all drugs legal and made each individual socially responsible for their own outcome. Hey, if you want to shoot up heroin, go for it. That's your prerogative. Without trying to control people's actions through politics, if we simply legalize the drug trade, I think a lot of what we see in these Latin American countries would probably turn around, in my opinion. So that's some kind of heavy, probably more politically heavy than I would normally want to go to. But I just thought this is a very interesting documentary, and it is a thought-provoking one, and I just wanted to share my thoughts about the message this thing was trying to convey. I highly recommended, though, this 7 release. If you don't have this, snap it up. The audio commentary by the director is interesting. Both versions of the film are equally interesting, although the Japanese version is extremely explicit. So, but I recommend watching either version. So that'll do it, and I appreciate you watching, and I would be interested in hearing your thoughts about the killing of America. Thanks.